Jehovah's Witnesses, guess what time it is? That's right, it's time for another homework assignment. Now, if you've read the title to this video, you're probably already asking yourselves,
well, I thought that Ethan had only done one entry in this series before, so how in the heck did we end up on entry number 3?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question, because this has a very simple and easy answer. It's because my man Dustin, those of you in Rio Linda probably know him as LuciousVBogeyman, actually had already posted the second entry in the series. Beat me right to the punch, he did. Great job. Mucho bueno, compadre. Now, moving on to the more serious part of this discussion. As you well know, Jehovah's Witnesses, Revelation chapter 7 and verse 9 is frequently used to proof text the Watchtower's usage of the phrase great crowd to supposedly show that there are two distinct and separate hopes. Now, when we look up the Greek word in the Blue Letter Bible, we see that the word translated into great crowd is ochlos. So what? Well, Revelation 7:9 isn't the only place that we find John using this phrase. It actually appears a total of 3 times in Revelation. So write them down or remember them if you have an exceptionally good memory. Revelation chapter 7:9, Revelation chapter 19:1, and Revelation chapter 19:6. Man, well, since this is such an important belief, proving that the great crowd is here on earth, we should probably take a look at those other scriptures there and see what they have to say about the great crowd. Aw, man, you're going to be bummed out about this. If we turn to Revelation 19:1, we find something very interesting regarding this great crowd. It says, "After these things I heard what was a loud voice of a great crowd in heaven. They said, 'Praise Jah, you people. The salvation and the glory and the power belong to our God.'" Now, as witnesses, this should be a pretty mind-blowing scripture, considering that it gives a location of the great crowd that you probably wouldn't expect if you believe the great crowd is on earth. And, you know, as a side note, and this is a completely unrelated topic, the Watchtower actually hasn't cited that scripture, Revelation 19:1, since the December issue of 1982. But, you know, that's just a completely meaningless factoid, because I'm sure the Watchtower Society wouldn't have anything to hide regarding that scripture, now would they? Nah, didn't think so. So, at this point, and I hear you. You're saying, you're crying out to me, and you're saying,
Ethan, what about the homework assignment? Aren't you getting horribly off track?
Well, yeah, I am, but don't get your panties in a bunch, because I was just getting ready to get to that. Get out your pens and pencils, boys and girls, because the question is actually going to be divided into 2 parts. It's one question, but 2 parts. You know, kind of like they do in the Watchtower Study Edition from time to time when they really want to drive a point home. Yeah, like that. Part A is, how do we distinguish the great crowd in Revelation chapter 7:9 from the great crowd in 19:1 if the great crowd has a separate hope of living on earth? Part B is, in Revelation chapter 7 and verse 15, why does it say that this great crowd will be rendering sacred service in the temple if sacred service is a Levitical duty, ergo a responsibility for priests, or in Watchtower lingo, the 144,000? And why are they in the temple and not outside of it, since we know that the temple is representative of the heavenly arrangement? Now, I'm going to go over that one more time, just for absolute clarity. Part A is, how do we distinguish the great crowd in Revelation 7:9 from the great crowd in Revelation 19:1 if the great crowd has a separate hope of living on earth? Part B is, in Revelation chapter 7 verse 15, why does it say that this great crowd will be rendering sacred service in the temple if sacred service is a Levitical duty and a responsibility of the 144,000 alone? And why are they inside the temple and not outside of it, since we know that the temple is representative of the heavenly arrangement? Now, if you are a Jehovah's Witness, there's your homework assignment. You're done. Pause this video. Everybody else, the video's done. Go away. Now, shoo, run. Okay? It's done. That's the end. All right. And this is a shout out to my man Dustin, i.e. LuciousVBogeymanProd. I do realize that Jehovah's Witnesses won't actually respond to this, but the point is to get them to think and not necessarily to respond. See, I know how miserable study like this makes them, because an honest study of the Bible will lead you only to the inevitable conclusion that the Watchtower isn't right. So, if I have to put them through a little bit of cognitive dissonance for them to show them what real freedom is and to get them to unshackle their mind, then I'm willing to do that, because freedom is the best thing you can experience, and particularly freedom of thought. Because I'm sure you know by now that I realize life is a state of mind.